Welcome, guys, to the MMOs.com podcast, episode 105. Altai, joined once again by
Omer, and this is Big 105. We got a fun podcast this week. Probably the biggest news is Black Desert on everyone's mind. It launched on Steam. Before we get to that, though, we got to always go to the weekly raid.
the weekly
Let's do a raid
raid.
check here. Take it away, Altai.
Raid check, here we go. So, this week, I saw, besides BDO, several other games either coming to Steam or launching on Steam, and a lot of them happen to be quite old. So the weekly raid is, are you tired of old MMORPGs relaunching? It's not limited to Steam, but what really piqued my interest in this topic is Atlantica Online wants to make a comeback on Steam. And while it never really went down, Nexon kind of ditched it because I guess it wasn't performing that well. So what do you think, Amar? A lot of these remakes do well, actually, or relaunches, like Mitten 2, Night Online. So what do you think? Are you tired of seeing these, 10-year-old games show up on Steam? Or do you think it's okay?
Definitely tired. A bit more so, like, the thing that grinds my gears a bit more is that we often get games that kind of get rebranded as new here in the West that aren't actually new. I think before we started streaming, you said Critic Online actually came out in like 2012 in Korea. And despite launching in like 2012, the game is just actually launched the closed beta this last week in North America through in mass. So this game that's been out for a while is kind of being relaunched and rebranded as something special, something new. And not to bash on the game itself, but it's not a new game; it's an old game. And we've seen this quite a bit. A lot of old games, even Blade and Soul, when that game launched in America, it was already years old. Even Black Desert Online, by the time it launched in America, it was already out in South Korea for some time. So that kind of grinds my gears a bit more. It's a little bit easier to ignore the really old stuff. I mean, the fact that Suba Games exists is a little bit cringy too. If you take a look at some of the Suba Games titles, I'll just drop you a quick link over here. Podcast chat directly. You have games like Ace Online. You have games like you have Divine Souls. There is nobody out there that still plays Divine Souls. There can't be. That game is so old and dead. This was a game that I think Outspark tried to launch ages ago. Remember Outspark? They published Fiesta Online, but then they shut down, forever ago. Outspark was around when we first did MMO Hot, forever ago. And their failed game was picked up by Super Games and has been in operation with them for a long time. But again, that game's got no chance of success. I don't think more than 20 people even play that game. And it's just weird to see a lot of these old games, still just relaunching, reviving, and just get in the grave and stay in the grave is my feelings.
Oh man, Ace Online, that brings back memories, that one. But I guess the reason I worded it this way is because from my perspective, right, we try to cover all the new releases, and often it's part discouraging when more than half of releases these days in this genre are actually not new games being released, but old games coming back. So maybe I think I just got tired of seeing so much necromancy rather than new games. But I can see the point of from the side of the players. If you're a fan of one of these games, when it relaunches on Steam especially, it becomes a lot more accessible. It breathes new life into it. So, yeah, obviously, if a game I like relaunched, I will like it. But when I have to kind of cover every single one of these or look into every single one of these, it kind of gets, shall we say, grinding.
Actually, Legend of Ares was one of those games that I think when it kind of launched, relaunched again. This game was really old. It was gone for a long time, and it was gone for years, and it relaunched as well, both on Steam and on Play Red Fox rather. But it's I don't know. I don't know if there's room in the market for games like Legends of Ares anymore. I do see room for stuff like Mitten 2 launching on Steam, only because despite a game being old, it doesn't mean it's dead. And I have no problem with those games, right? Expanding to Steam if your game is still old and still big is perfectly fine. I think a perfect example of that would be Dekaron. I actually had a first look for Dekaron relatively recently. And this game, it's not that it relaunched, it's been around for a long time, but if I see this game go to Steam, I wouldn't be surprised, only because the game is unbelievably popular. Let me go ahead and drop you a link on this real quick. But actually, I haven't played Dekaron in a long time. The last time I played this game was back when it was called 2 Moons. Drop the link. Go to 2 minutes in that video if you can. Actually, 1:30 and you'll be good to go. But I played this game when it was called 2 Moons. It was published by Acclaim. This is an old game. This is 8 years old, 9 years old, if not older than that. But it was really popular when it was under Acclaim. I didn't know it was still popular today. And I logged into my first look, and I was astounded that it was still so busy. So a lot of these old school games do have hardcore player bases that stick with the game. And expanding these games to Steam is perfectly fine. It's just weird to see stuff like Legend of Ares get relaunched. Karos Returns. this is an oddball game. It shut down like twice, and for some reason, Red Fox picked it back up. This was this is not a game I don't think anyone's really going to miss if it shuts down. If you're a hardcore Karos fan out there, call me out on this, all right? I'm curious, is there any hardcore Karos Returns fans out there?
I only have one question. Why is there a giant Caterpie or Weedle in town in this Dekaron video?
Yeah, because it's a great game. That's the only correct answer to that. It looks amazing. That pet is amazing. Like, the cool thing about that game, actually, it's worth mentioning. I don't want to get too ranted about gushing about it. I mean, it is an old game, right? But like the attack animations in Dekaron are phenomenal. You would think that a game that old, let me pull up the exact release date though real quick before I start saying it's too old. But that game has amazing combat animation. I'm going to show you a video in a bit too. So it came out in 2007, making it about 10 years old right now. Let me show you a Dekaron PvP video. If you see some of the attack animations, they look astounding. Like for such an old game, like they look really like in depth. You see some really cool shit. And some games, if you have good attack animations, skill animations, it makes you kind of want to play the game just because like the attacks look really cool. So I'm gonna link you a really low quality video. I just can't find the video I saw earlier. Maybe you can find the better video later.
All right. While you look for that, I want to bring up something else that this old game kind of reminds me of. So, and this, I guess we can kind of transition to the next subject here. When I'm watching this video, I see a lot of people in town.
Yeah.
This is something also. Black Desert is very lively right now, but I want to compare that to Conan Exiles. Okay, I gave this game a lot of shit when it came out because this was a game I was excited for. We were all excited. We actually did a stream, right? We were all trying to play on a server together. We tried to play on an official server and our own server that we were paying for. And guess what? We couldn't do it. You couldn't have more than 20 people about on a server in this giant, sandbox game, or else it would just stutter and rubber band to death. How is it that these old games, like these Dekaron even, can handle so many users on a server where new games can't? And some people are going to say something like, well, it's different because it's a sandbox and you can like make stuff, right? Yeah. Well, what about Minecraft and stuff? There's like you can have hundreds of people on the server. If everyone watching
thousands.
It might, I don't know, it might lag at 1,000. I have no idea. But if everybody watching this, if we all jumped on a Minecraft server, right, and we built houses and shit, it wouldn't lag. Like we'd be fine.
No, it wouldn't.
So why is it that Funcom can't figure this out? I don't know. It boggles my mind. And they actually tried to defend themselves, which I found pretty amusing. Let me bring that up.
Well, that's pretty funny too. Their response is pretty silly. Honestly, I do think, look, I do want to say I played Conan Exiles for a decent while. I played only on my server, as well as one official server for a short while. But I think I got my money's worth out of that game. I mean, I got 50 hours of gameplay in, which is not that much for a sandbox game, but I played for 50 hours. I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun, but the game had some serious issues. Most notably, as you pointed out, the lag issues. Like, how could a company like Funcom, which has, a history of building rich MMORPGs, large-scale MMORPGs, fail so hard at their launch, and they can't even handle 60 players. They had to limit to 40 or something crazy.
Yes, and guys, just so you all know, the current official server player cap on Conan Exiles is still 40. And so there was a recent thread where they kind of answered some questions from players, and I think they handled it very poorly, the wording. So here was their response when people complained about the lack of updates. Let me ask this back to you. What should we do that we aren't already doing? The team is working as fast as they legally work. We have opened a bunch of new positions to hire, and we are making steps to improve the game in every patch. They also said they're working with third-party studios that are going to help them on certain features. Well, I mean, here's one piece of advice. Since they're asking me, right, they want my advice, so here it goes. Ready? Fire everyone you have working on it now. Hire everyone. Okay, find whoever's still around. Hire the people who built Anarchy Online, right? Because that game had more than 40 players online at a time. It didn't lag, right? So hire those people because they know how to make games that are multiplayer. And there you go. Problem fixed. So that's my advice.
A bit harsh, but I do think it really is unacceptable. Look, when we played Conan Exiles in the first launch, I kind of forgot how long it's been. I'm going to check Steam right now. Look, I gave them the benefit of the doubt, right? I feel like, okay, look, the game launched a little too ambitious. Couldn't handle the 60-plus players. So whatever, the fact that today, literally months after launch, they still can't handle more than 40 players on official servers, that's unacceptable. Yeah, it launched in January, okay? How long has that been? It's like 6 months, and you still can't play with more than 40 players on a single server. That's bullshit. That's awful. You can play Rust today with 300, 400 players on Rustified, and, it works fine. And even with 30 players, I remember the servers being hella laggy. That is unacceptable that you have a game like Conan Exiles that sold so well, a company like Funcom that has a history of building massively multiplayer games, that even 6 months after their early access launch, they couldn't get like the basic fundamentals down. Forget the balance, forget the new content, fix the basic shit. You know, this is the building blocks are awful, and they couldn't get that done right. And I still enjoyed the game, but it's embarrassing that this is an issue for them.
What I find amusing too is the last line. Okay, so anyway, he's basically justifying it by saying, listen, we're doing all we can. We hired a lot of people, you know, we hired third-party studios. We're doing a lot of stuff. Okay, I can buy that, right? I can buy all that so far. But the way he ends this answer is kind of like rubbing salt in the wound of players. Like kind of like an insult to players in like a backhanded way. He says, because after all, this is early access. Like, whoa, I can do whatever I want, guys. I took your money, but it's early access, so it doesn't matter.
The fact that he said that like made it so much worse. Everything else is, you know, whatever. Like, it's acceptable. It's a little bad that they're defending themselves. I get it, right? But to say it's early access after you took everyone's money and it's been like 6 months, that doesn't show really class on their part. they should just restrain from saying that. It kind of reinforces the idea that like these early access games are shit and players have a right to kind of be upset about them, because developers can just use that excuse. Oh, it's early access, herp derp, and then that's like a free pass to every little issue. And it shouldn't be.
Yeah. I'll be balanced here. They did say a few good things. Like, for example, they mentioned, as for forcing our creative choices on players, because people are complaining about that, let me be clear, we are making the game we have envisioned, okay? And trying to incorporate some feedback, which makes sense. You know, you can't just pander to players that want everything. So they say, look, we got an idea for the game. That's what we're working on. That's fine. I accept that. That's great. Yeah. But the previous one was bad. The previous answer. So, yeah, Conan Exiles is still a thing. I don't know if you guys, anyone out there, is still playing it. I'll check it out when I can play with more than 20 people. That's what I'm waiting for.
Maybe one day. Maybe we'll see how long it stays in early access. Yep. But again, switch gears a tiny bit back. I do want to show you this because I thought this was actually pretty cool.
Oh, did you find the video? Nice.
I did find one of the videos. So this video starts off at like 2 minutes 30 seconds. It shows you some PvP in the game, and really, people do play this game of PvP even today. It's Dekaron, an older game. But like, one thing I feel like we've kind of lost in a lot of MMORPGs. Just pay attention to the skill animations, right? They look kind of cool. Come on. Like, I feel like one of the things that really attracted me to MMORPGs and what makes me like really want to get higher level in a lot of games, it worked in MapleStory, but even newer games, Final Fantasy XIV, some of the skill animations in that game look really cool. And when I see other players doing some really cool skill animations in town, I'm like, yo, I want to get the higher level so I can do those cool skills, right? Like, it's one of the few visual cues you get in game for like wanting to progress. And it's not just that, it's armor as well. I know you complained a lot about Blade and Soul's lack of like visual changes on armor. Yeah. Like when you see somebody in town with the glowing armor, the badass looking armor, even if it looks kind of cheesy, right? Like you want to get to that point. But when everyone kind of looks the same and you don't have those really cool visuals, it really discourages you from leveling up. It's a small thing, but I feel like a lot of MMORPGs have lost on that. You know, a Dekaron, for example, when you upgrade your gear, it does the upgrade alone makes it more shiny and changes it a little bit, and it gives you like encouragement to make yourself like more badass. And some people might look at this and say it's not badass, this is retarded, but like I think it looks kind of cool. And obviously it's a 10-year-old game, but for a 10-year-old game, the skill animations are definitely not bad. And these aren't the best examples. It's a random PvP video I found. It's actually in HD.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. I like some of the animation. Like there's one with a flame hammer coming down on the guy when he casts it. That's pretty cool.
So many MMORPGs, the skill animations are very uninspiring. It like, yeah, I get it. There's a fireball, right? It blows up, herp derp. There's like a zero effort like thing. Some of them in Black Desert look pretty cool, but like there's nothing that really goes crazy over the top and like badass. You know, like Lord of Vermilion in Ragnarok Online. Like you sit in town, you see somebody use Lord of Vermilion, like holy shit, that looks badass, right? Like certain skill animations look really cool, but perhaps Row is not the best example because a lot of skill animations are pretty awful. But some of the major ones look really badass. I think
a key tenet in an MMORPG should be just by looking at someone or looking at his abilities or attacks, you should be able to tell how strong he is, right? Or you should be able to tell he's much stronger than you, at least. It doesn't have to be through glowing gear, but it has to be some kind of cue, like some kind of visual cue. It can be subtle, but it's got to be there. IMO.
Actually, there's a pretty funny Reddit post on that ages ago, like free-to-play versus a pay-to-win user. Like the free-to-play user's got like this plate mail on and stuff, and the pay-to-win user got like this bikini on and like no clothing. Yeah, that's the way a lot of these games end up looking. I actually do have a bikini on my character in Black Desert Online, all right?
Oh, really?
It was well worth like the $5 I spent on that ages ago.
Nice.
I gotta look mega kawaii. But yeah, you do need stuff like skill animations, characters to look badass. That's like the one thing that really makes me want to like get stronger. And it's unfortunate you don't see that in a lot of games. It's unfortunate.
Well, next thing I want to bring up has to do, again, it kind of ties into the Conan Exiles thing. So people in chat have been mentioning that one of the problems the game is having, or the reason it's having these problems, is because of the engine choice, Unreal. And Unreal, as we know, is made mainly for shooting games, right? First-person shooters, like Unreal Tournament. The problem with porting that or using that for MMORPGs has been pretty common problem. For example, Bless uses Unreal 3, and it's it was a disaster in terms of optimization.
Disaster. Good game, unoptimized disaster. Yep.
So one problem I have with upcoming game, I know you hate talking about it, but here it is again. Ashes of Creation. Ashes of Creation, you guys. Look, my biggest issue or concern, I should say, is not with the team of people working on it. It's not with the funding method of like the little referral thing. These are all question marks. But my biggest issue is Unreal 4. Are these the guys that are going to crack the netcode issue and write the proper proprietary software required to run an MMORPG on Unreal without it lagging to pieces? I don't know. That will all the gameplay we've seen so far. They're very keen on saying, look, we got gameplay. This game is we're already funded. We already got gameplay. Everything they show is just the one guy or that one sorcerer, right? Just walking around by himself. Like there's literally no other players anywhere. And I think one of the reasons for that is because the world they have. Game yet. Well, there's a single player game, I think. Or
no, I don't think there's that either.
Really?
I think they have an engine. They made a map, and they made a character walk around that map, and that's really all we've really seen.
And no, we've seen attacks. We've seen them attack like a wolf, or maybe scripted. Yeah. I don't know, but
they create a scripted event with one monster and some basic combat animations, but like the game isn't there yet. And honestly, the more I see people get excited about what little quote unquote gameplay we've seen on Ashes of Creation, makes me really want to just download Unreal Engine 4, go to the Unreal Engine asset store, buy a map, buy a character, and then just show a character walking around him, and then start talking out of my ass about like, we're going to have all these changing worlds, we're going to have emergent gameplay, we're going to have in-game physics, we're going to have all these cool ideas, and like it just, I think an hour of just importing assets in there, well, and there won't be any actual content. Maybe we should do that one day.
We can do that, but in their credit, they say a lot of their stuff is not off the store; it's custom stuff, and I have no reason to think they're lying about that because it's so easy to check. Like I don't think they'd lie about that. So my bigger issue with them, like I said, is they're basically just showing nothing, just walking around a finished map, let's say. So are they going to be able to make it work? They have the money for it. The team behind it actually has said if we don't release, the CEO said he's going to personally refund everyone on Kickstarter.
Look, we've talked a lot of shit about Ashes of Creation. I do want to say I respect that position he took. The guy's a millionaire, a multi-millionaire, Mr. Sharif. So
multi-level millionaire.
A multi-level millionaire. There you go, from his MLM days. But the fact that he says that kind of gives me some hope. And at least, if for some reason it doesn't happen, he backs that, his reputation will be shot. But the fact that he's putting his reputation on the line makes me a little more, I can respect him a bit more that he does that. So props to him for saying that he will personally give everyone a guarantee. Obviously, this is not a contractual obligation. He can just say, go fuck yourself, guys, if shit hits the fan. But the fact that he says, he's going to backstop it makes me, at least respect the guy and the project a bit more. And I still hope the best, despite my skepticism.
And I think they're sincere. Okay, so people who say it's a scam, I think it's going too far because the guy's got plenty of money. He doesn't have to waste his time with this stuff. Yeah. If he wants to scam, I
agree. Yeah,
this guy already knows how to scam, right? That's how he made his money. So it's not like he needs to do this for a scam.
Agree.
So
I think it's sincere as well.
It's a sincere project. Yeah. Now whether or not he can form a competent enough team and figure all this out, that's a separate issue. But that's not a sincerity issue. So there it is.
Before we get to BDO, which I think is the biggest launch of the week and probably the biggest launch of the year, really, I want to talk briefly about Elder Scrolls Morrowind, because you've been playing that a little bit over the last week or so. I see every time I go on Discord, I see I peek over at your name and it says Altai is playing ZeniMax Online.
Yes, I bought it. I believe the day or the second day that the PC pre-release version came out. It's $40. So first of all, I want to get this out of the way. It's not worth $40 if your job isn't to play these games, right? So I wouldn't recommend it for that. But
I mean, if you really enjoy the game, come on. If you already sink like 500+ hours into ESO, at $40 to get another like hundreds of hours of entertainment, it's worth it.
Even people who play the game are saying it's not worth it. People are saying they kind of feel as if they feel like as if the the size and scope of the expansion didn't meet their the hype, shall we say. So the whole Morrowind island is there, besides the little islands off the coast. But a lot of the stuff, like people complain, one is smaller in scale than the original Morrowind map, and people are saying a lot of the caves and stuff you can't go in. So it doesn't have this full depth of the original in Elder Scrolls 3 game world. So a lot of the stuff is, you know, back in I don't know if anyone out there played the ESO games, but it's a big open world where there's a lot of nooks and crannies you can go into that aren't part of like the main quest line. So apparently there's less of that here. I'm enjoying it, but here's the thing: people say there's about, I think they said 30 hours of content.
That's pretty light.
Yeah. So they sold it as an expansion, or no, they hyped it as an expansion, but they're not calling it an expansion. They're calling it a chapter.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a cheat. So I'd say it's worth maybe, and also there's websites already selling it for less than 40. Like G2A, our favorite site, is selling the game for between, I think, about $25. They say. So
I'm gonna look right now. Actually, I'm curious.
Yeah, I just got on Steam like the second I saw it, so I didn't look into it. But if you shop around, I think the lowest it's been on like some shady website is $20.
I see it $23 right now on G2A.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy because, you know, it's like what, $40 on Steam.
And the funny thing is, it didn't even launch yet. Or it didn't like officially launch yet. Like the launch is sometime in June. This is like the pre-order, you know, like pre-release early access session.
I was actually going to buy this because I saw you playing and I was like, you know what, look, I had fun. You know, I kind of want to try it because the thing with Elder Scrolls Online is the cool thing is you can kind of, you know, explore the new content if you want right away, because basically anywhere you go, all the content is kind of leveled up to your level. So you can, you know, you can explore that Morrowind nostalgia, have fun with it without actually having to grind through all the early content to get there. I log into my ZeniMax account. I click on upgrade, right, to get the expansion. Like $40. It's a bit much. It's a bit steep. And I didn't buy it. It was in my cart, ready to go buy. I'm like, $40. I couldn't do it. I couldn't justify it. The fact that I'm seeing it right now for 25 on G2A, I might do it because I maybe I can swallow $25 for it, no problem. But 40 seems a bit much, especially considering the base game is like $12 or something, very low on G2A, and like even on Steam, the base game is much cheaper than the expansion.
Yeah, and here's the thing. First of all, I'm having fun, right? Like Amar said, he sees me online. I'm playing. I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about Elder Scrolls, and it's a good comparison with Black Desert, which also recently launched on Steam. Elder Scrolls Online, first of all, you can start level 1 on Morrowind, so you don't have to do any of the old stuff if you don't want to, until you finish the content here. It's great, but it's completely a one-player experience. Like, I'm playing, right? I'm doing all this everything is voiced. Every little NPC is voiced. Every side quest is voiced. Everything's voiced. But they took I feel like they went out of their way to make sure you don't talk to anyone. The chat is invisible by default. So unless
how is that a MMO then? If the chat is invisible by default, then
if you go to like your inventory, like with I or B or whatever, or C for skill or whatever, then you can see the chat. But by default, it's invisible. So, and as you're walking around, there's no reason to ever interact with other players. There's almost zero challenge. Like, no, actually not almost. There is zero challenge. It's kind of like an Asian game at this point, where sometimes I'm even like at level 5. If you don't use a single skill point or stat point, there's no trouble killing the mobs. There's absolutely zero difficulty. So that's kind of, sad, I think.
People in the chat are saying that it's all of ESO is a one-player experience, and I think we've kind of opined about this quite a bit in the past, but it is frustrating to play a game, and basically it being a one-player experience. I do think games should encourage teamwork a bit more, whether it's putting very difficult enemies in certain quests or whatnot. But MMOs are supposed to be multiplayer games. Come on, you got to encourage the teamwork a little bit more. But soloing through everything just isn't fun. Having said that,
I just shat on the game, right? But I'm still playing it.
Yeah.
Why? Because sometimes you want to play an RPG, right? So if you want to play an RPG that with really high production value, with everything voiced, with a beautiful world, great soundtrack. Maybe if you played the original, Morrowind, with some nostalgia thrown in, it's worth it's worth $20. Maybe ideally wait till it's 15. I think that's a sweet spot. 1 month of subscription time for a premium MMORPG. For like 30 hours, 40 hours, whatever you want to spend here. So $15 is my sweet spot. And if you're looking for a single player RPG with some multiplayer dungeons at the end,
you want to play a single player MMORPG, guys? Go play it.
Yeah, no, don't think of it as an MMORPG. Honestly, just think of it as an RPG with like chat. All
right. But yeah, even saying all that, you still are playing it, so that's definitely good.
And there are raids though. So for people who get to the late game, right, who finish everything. There are like old school like WoW style raids, raid bosses. And here's a video I'm showing. This is, I think, the third time in this, this boss has been defeated on hard mode or whatever it is. So it is hard. You can't just, form a pickup group and finish any game content. So there is some challenge, some old school grind. You see all the little bars here of all the team members. So it's got all that. Yeah. But 99% of the players are going to play like an RPG.
But plus, everything I've heard about the boss mechanics too are really fun. I think fun boss mechanics are always, make those dungeons way more interesting. And most of the dungeons is usually just grinding through it, but when you get to the boss, you can do some fun boss mechanics to defeat it. So and ESO is supposed to do that really well too.
Yep. And actually, we played the original, not Morrowind, for a Sunday Funday, right, or Grind Fest, and I think we had a pretty good time with that dungeon. It was hard, but doable, so it was fun.
So I'm actually looking at the Steam charts for the game. Again, this is just the pre-release. I think it's coming out on June 6th, or the week of June. I think we'll see more numbers after that. The game didn't get a huge boost, but ESO, has been steadily sitting as one of the most played MMORPGs on Steam for a while. So it's still doing well. It continues to do well. Definitely one of the most played MMORPGs on there, but it didn't get the giant boost on Steam that you'd expect from like a big new MMORPG launch.
Yeah, and I think the reason is because this game, I feel, is starting to cater towards your console users. The game has said a few months ago that their player base is split about evenly between PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, which means 2/3 of their players are console players. And don't forget that Steam is not the only place to play this game. It launched on its own launcher for years, so it's kind of divided in that terms. But one thing I love about this game, this one server.
Oh God, God bless. God bless.
Server.
One server is the way to go.
Yep, and BDO does this as well. People complain about the channels kind of being busy and laggy, but I would rather deal with swapping channels once in a while than a fragmented player base. So I love the fact that both these games have a single server.
That's what grind my gears a lot about a lot of MMORPGs. The way BDO handles it is pretty beautiful. You got the one server, many channels, and the way ESO does it is one server. You'd think from the get-go somebody would have realized that there's no you just piss off your players by making all these servers. Why? It just restricts players from playing with each other. It hurts the community by having a smaller player base. The in-game economy is less vibrant with less players. Everything works better with one server, multiple channels, and you can even have basically each server could just be a different channel anyway. Just let them swap between them. This is such common sense, but we're only starting to see MMORPGs kind of do it now. Even FF14's got the many servers, and I hate that model, and it sucks.
One more interesting adventure story from my Elder Scroll time. It does a lot of things that I feel like Shroud of the Avatar does this too, where there's a lot of small touches that kind of make you feel more immersed. For example, I was in this part. I was doing a quest in this one area, and oh, by the way, surprisingly, there's not that much stuff that are instanced. The caves you go to in Elder Scrolls are they're open world, so other players are in there too. It's not like Star Wars. In Star Wars, every other quest sends you to a mini instance zone, so that's kind of weird. But here it's all open, whatever. And I was in this one area doing a quest, and I was killing. You're supposed to sneak past these NPCs, right? You're not supposed to kill them, but I just killed them because I didn't care. And I'm looting them, right? And when you loot them, they have really good loot. I was surprised. I'm like, wow, this stuff sells for 10 times what the other stuff sells for. So I loot it all. Every time you loot it, though, it counts as stealing because you're not supposed to kill those guys. So I actually built up a huge bounty. If you steal stuff or kill people you're not supposed to, you get a bounty on your head by the NPCs. And you can't go to town or else they arrest you. They come at you. And you got to hand everything over plus pay them. If you can't, they kill you.
Wow.
So it's kind of hardcore in that sense. I had to actually just chill outside town for half an hour before I could come back in, before my bounty went down. So that was pretty cool. So you can't just willy-nilly just kill and steal as you want.
That's pretty crazy. That's cool.
Yeah.
But can't you get your friend to kill you and hand in your head for the bounty? It's just the NPC bounty with you. Nobody else can hand it. It's just with you, right?
It's just with you. It's NPCs. It's your deal with the NPCs in town. It's not like there's no open PvP or anything.
That's pretty cool still.
Yeah. All right. So now we can compare how ESO is doing on Steam with how BDO is doing on Steam.
Yeah, BDO is absolutely killing it right now. If you, since its launch, it's been getting higher and higher player-based numbers all week, peaking at a Memorial Day yesterday, about 19,000 players just on Steam. We talked about, this is a pretty cool measure because this is the first time we're seeing a big MMORPG that's launching on Steam that's been out already, where you can't just use your regular account. People that are playing on Steam didn't have an account before. You had to rebuy the game on Steam. So that's about 19,000 people that bought the game again. Well, not more than that, because it's just concurrent players. So everyone playing on Steam had to buy the game again. So the actual player base is actually much higher because plenty of people were playing BDO off of Steam. So I think one source put it over 100,000 sales for the game in the first week, which is pretty incredible. Seeing the game explode in popularity inspired me to log back into the game. So I was playing some BDO earlier today. It was like a 50 GB download, so I downloaded and played it. Got on today, and I do feel like they changed some things. They did speed things up a bit. I was going to make a striker character, which is a new class that just came out. But before I wanted to make a new class, I wanted to log into my old character, check out my kawaii-ness with my my in-game bikini. I paid like $5 for, and I grinded for a bit. And because there's a double XP event going on, and if you never played BDO yet, you can get it on Steam for I think $6 right now. I think that sale ends tomorrow. Again, I don't know how often they'll do that sale. Probably not the last time. If you miss it, no big deal. Just wait, look another sale later. Or you can just get the game for free on the official website and play for 7 days. But I logged back in, I grinded a bit, and I feel like they sped things up a bit because I gained 7 levels in an hour. Whereas before, it was taking me much longer to level up. I was only level 30, so I got from 30 to 37 in like an hour. Which is pretty nuts because I would grind, the monastery place for like much longer. And it would take me a long time to level up. Maybe I was just doing it wrong. But yeah, I feel like they sped it up. But it just playing the game and grinding again made me realize just kind of how beautiful the game is. Combat animation is super smooth. It runs really well. It just felt nice to grind. I mean, it reminded me of MapleStory, and I think we mentioned this when we first played BDO, because the grinding mechanic MapleStory is pretty grindy too, but like something about the grind made it fun. Like I don't know, it just felt very satisfying to pull a lot of enemies together and kill them. Not a lot of games have that anymore. Usually you pull one enemy, you kill it, or 2 or 3, right? But in BDO, you pull like 5, 6 enemies, sometimes, as many as you can get. Certain areas are more populated, but you want to pull as many things as you can and just AoE kill all of them. And it just feels so satisfying, because of the actiony combat too. So, I don't know. It just reinvigorated my enjoyment of some grind. And obviously, it's not for everyone, but I think if you never played it, it's definitely one of the biggest MMORPG launches of the year. We gave it the MMOs.com Best MMORPG of 2016 award. So if you never played it, play it for free on blackdesertonline.com. Or if you don't mind paying up $6, just get it on Steam as well. But this is a free trial.
I think it's worth mentioning, guys. It's doing really well. It's a gorgeous game, and for $6 on Steam, I think if you're like a fan of MMORPGs and you haven't tried it, it's a must buy. Just buy it for $6 and just try it. It looks gorgeous. I think you'll get your money's worth. Just like in the first hour, just like experiencing what the game has to offer, and like
you get your money's worth the character creator, right? That awesome character creation screen.
Yeah, and people, a lot of the guys who play it a lot complain. They're saying, well, don't play it. It's too grindy. It's not fun late game, end game. There's too much grind. Well, look, if you got to end game, you got so many dozens of hours of enjoyment already, and maybe it's not worth it for $30 and whatever you spend in the cash shop. But if you just want to try it, $6. You're gonna get your money's worth, definitely.
I still reminds me of all those Steam reviews for various MMORPGs saying like, "This sucks. This user has played for 1,250 hours," and he says, "This sucks." Come on, bro. You spend that much time on the game. Look, I don't think the game is perfect, right? And I'm looking at the reviews that they're quoting, like on their accolades from MMORPG.com. The most unique offering the genre has had in years. Can something be the most unique? It's either unique or it's not. How's it varying degrees of unique? I know we talked about this before. But it's pretty funny, the grammar on that. But look, the game isn't like groundbreaking, but like it brings a lot of things we haven't seen in a while. You have a large, persistent world, one massive world, right? Like Revelation had that as well. But like very few modern MMORPGs have that. Blade and Soul has action combat, but it had very segmented areas. A lot of MMORPGs have segmented areas. This is one giant, persistent world. You have gorgeous graphics, buttery, smooth gameplay, and I would say genuinely fun combat. So the combat, it's not as tactical as something like Blade and Soul, in my opinion, because that plays a little more like a fighting game. But it's definitely one of the most fun, core combat mechanics I've seen in an MMORPG. It really just, for me personally, for some reason, I still kind of view the core combat as some like 3D action-y MapleStory, because it's got that same feel of pulling tons of mobs, AoE killing everything, and it feels great for me. But I agree with you. For $6, I don't think you can go wrong. But if you're super cheap, get the free trial. But everyone is playing now too. All the servers are full. You'll get like that, almost like the new player experience of a new, everyone's in the beginner areas. You all kind of grinding through all that stuff together. And I know we're hyping the game a lot, but it's pretty fun.
I know. I never got to like late game in this game, but from what I've heard, it's kind of open PvP in certain areas, right? And I think they did a good service by allowing the Steam users their own channels temporarily. So there are temporary channels that can only be played by Steam users, played on by Steam users. And that's to give them kind of a breathing room to level up, and so they don't have to compete directly with the people who've been playing for like a year. Another interesting point. Someone in chat mentioned earlier that we were giving Conan Exiles a lot of shit for not being able to handle more than 40 players or 20 players, whereas and he's complaining that in Black Desert, if there's more than 20 players on a screen, it kind of stutters, right? Well, here's the difference: 20 people on a screen is different than 20 people on the whole server. Conan Exiles, if there are 20 people on the server on opposite ends of the huge map, you're gonna lag.
That's true.
There could be nobody in sight for 20 minutes, right? In Conan Exiles. And you're going to lag if there's 20 people on the server. So it's not the same thing. Even if what he's saying is true, I don't know what kind of potato computer he's on, but even if what he's saying is true, it's still way better than Conan Exiles.
It's not a fair example at all. You would lag in Conan Exiles in your own house, like in the middle of the desert where there's nobody else around, and it would be a regular occurrence. BDO, you have on a single server, even a single channel, thousands of players online, and it runs really smooth when you're just grinding and doing your own thing. And I saw plenty of people walk by. Yeah, you go to town, it can be laggy over there. And if you're in a busy area, the game demands a pretty high system requirement. I think people are saying 16 GB RAM is good if you're in a busy area and you want to play in high settings. So a pretty demanding game, but I think it pulls off the massiveness much better than Conan Exiles. So not even comparable.
Yeah, I actually want to try it again after the podcast. Maybe I haven't tried it. Here's the thing: for $6, I bought it on Steam, even though I have an account already. So I'm gonna make a new character probably, and see how I do.
That's pretty crazy though. You just rebought the game on Steam for the convenience of Steam, and there you go. That's why people love Steam. My brother was willing to rebuy a game he already had just for the pleasure of being able to log in on Steam. I just re-downloaded the game from the official website because I did not want to spend on the $6 because I already bought the game ages ago. So I didn't do that.
Yep, I'm a convenience kind of guy.
All right, we should take this discussion a smidgen over to what we played this last week together. A little bit of Grindfest Friday talk. We played a little bit of Wynncraft, which is worth talking about because I do want to say this is a pretty incredible game. I actually played it more after the Grindfest Friday video on my own. I felt compelled to log in on my own and play it. And the more you play it, the more you enjoy it, actually. Because it's, at first, it's just a novelty experience of this MMORPG built on Minecraft, right? But there's definitely more to this. You play it, and you really realize that this game was built with love. Like, the guys that made this game really care about it. They've been working on it for a long time. And the detail is there. The world is beautiful. There are so many hidden puzzles in the game. There are Easter eggs. You go behind the store, you find a cavern, like a pathway that goes somewhere else. You have to find these 5 switches there, and then you go through this puzzle, this intricate world, and it's just really well done. I mean, for at first it felt like a novelty, but as you play, this is like a real game. Like, this is a in-depth MMORPG that I would argue is more fun than so many of the Korean grinders we've played. And if you have Minecraft, check it out. It's just a free-to-play, little MMORPG built on the game. And I see myself logging in again. I played some more. Some of my friends are already on it too. My buddy Chaos Shield's been playing it a lot, hyping it even more than I have. He absolutely loves this game already. So I think it's pretty incredible.
And don't forget, this game, each channel can hold, 60 people?
Yeah, there you go. This can hold 60 players per channel.
So this Minecraft MMORPG mod can hold more people per channel than Conan Exiles. How does
But what this tells me too is you can't underestimate the passion of if you like 1 or 2 people that are really in love with what they're creating, right? They make a game out of passion. Amazing things can happen. Obviously not all the time, right? But I guess I probably have I'm remembering the more recent successes, stuff like Stardew Valley. It was made by one guy, and it was a freaking amazing game. I'm playing a lot of these mods, the guy that made PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. He made the original Arma mod for Battle Royale, and this guy's mega passionate. He was able to do something amazing. I feel like passionate modders, they make amazing things, and we've seen it time and time again in the stuff in Minecraft, the custom maps in Warcraft 3. Dota was again a spin-off from a custom map. So it's amazing what you can do when you have really passionate developers. And it's not always, you don't always get the passionate developers because big corporates in the way too sometimes.
Yep. So here's a question, Omar. Have you tried other Minecraft stuff since then besides Wynncraft?
No, I have. Every time I hop into Minecraft, I just feel compelled to log into my character and just go back to just killing things. And as I'm grinding, you find a new cave, you want to go in that cave, you find all this new shit right away. It's like a weird sense of wonder. The only detraction from Wynncraft, in my opinion, is it's kind of held back by some of the Minecraft UI elements, because some of the UI elements are intuitive for MMORPGs, and they kind of had to build around it, like the questing system and stuff, and the lack of built-in minimap, but the website works, so it's okay. But like, no, I've yet to try the other custom stuff, though I'm sure there's some amazing, player-made content and amazing mod servers and stuff for Minecraft.
Yeah, so we just bought we both I think bought Minecraft just to try Wynncraft, but since buying it, I kind of dabbled in I made a vanilla world for myself, and I went online and I found texture packs and shader packs, and you can make the game look gorgeous. Like, it looks like, is this real life? Let me Google some of this stuff, Minecraft, and so what I did was I maxed everything out. I'm running a 970 here in Turkey, a 970 GTX. I couldn't run this game.
Really?
No. Well, the way I did it, at least, I maxed everything out. My fan was like humming, and then my frames were dropping. I couldn't hit 60 frames on Minecraft, guys, with the graphics all the way. I'm trying to find a good video for this, but some of these really make it look like realistic. Here I found one. Here we go. So so the game can actually look pretty good if you run all the mods properly.
You're looking, it looks pretty crazy, beautiful.
But I'd be interested in trying other mods and stuff. Like I'm sure there's a lot of survival and defense kind of maps.
Definitely. But if you have Minecraft, check out that Wynncraft. It's more than a novelty. I think you check it out. I think a lot of you guys will like it. There's over 1,000 players last time I checked on there, so it's not tiny. And that water looks gorgeous in the video.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah, like you got to find the right video and stuff. But some people make it look insane.
Holy crap! Looks like a completely different game.
Yeah, I wonder if your 1080 can run this stuff.
But a real test of a gaming PC is if you can play Crysis on max settings, right? I feel like that meme died a long time ago, but old man Remo here just keeps bringing it back. I don't think I've heard anyone else bring that meme back up except me. Most people don't even remember that meme. We're getting old.
Oh man, I just want to try Minecraft again after watching these videos, or try to get it to work. In fact, I think the first thing I'm going to do when I get back to America next month is try some Minecraft texture and shader packs on my 1080.
It's pretty funny because we're always we're a little bit old to a lot of these games, right? Because we just bought Minecraft recently. It's been out for years and mega popular. And even funnier is my brother and I just bought Dead by Daylight, right? This game that was mega popular like over a year ago now, right? We just started playing some Dead by Daylight. Like we're so behind on some of these games that it's funny. Like these mainstream mega popular games all the streamers play. But I'm enjoying Dead by Daylight, and people are playing this Friday the 13th game now. So maybe I'll get that one too in like a year when everyone's done with it.
Oh man, I really want to play that, but $40 again. Ugh. I wish it was like a 4-pack I could buy for like 80. I'd pay like $80 for a 4-pack.
Oh, there's no more 4-pack things anyway on Steam. Remember?
No, you still can do it, but you got to send the emails directly.
Oh,
right away.
Okay.
You can't like hold a copy. You gotta send it to everyone at checkout, I guess.
I see.
Yep.
All right, we should talk a little bit about Caravan. So let's get some hype going. All right.
All right, that's nice. This I think I was more hyped for this than you were actually.
All right, let's see.
All right.
Lead us.
So, a new Japanese MMORPG was announced recently. I'll play the trailer while I talk about it. It's called Caravan Stories. It's got great music too. I got to turn the music up. So this is going to be a multi-platform PC and mobile MMORPG. We've heard this a lot actually. What was it? Albion is trying to do this, right? Lineage Eternal is trying to do this. And now we got Caravan Stories. Gorgeous looking anime MMORPG with great music, great stuff. And it's got a little bit of like the collector aspect to it because it's a mobile game. And Japanese people love their collector stuff. So you make a party of up to 6 characters and you fight like that. I'm not exactly sure what that means. Like, is it turn-based? I don't know. It doesn't really show any gameplay. But just the visuals and audio has me hyped by itself.
The visuals and audio are beautiful. This video alone, I'm gonna drop it in chat as well in case you guys want to see it by yourselves. I don't know, it just like has this really like Dragon Quest-y vibe to it. but I think it looks gorgeous. The music fits it really well too. The character designs are kind of cool. But I'm just questioning the mobile element to it too, because it'll be cross-platform on both mobile and PC. And some of the, bullet points, there was an interview, I think, on Famitsu magazine about this game. Some of the bullet points made it seem a bit like have a waifu collector or like a traditional hero collector elements to it. And you have this caravan that comes with you, that battles with you and stuff. Like, I don't know what the gameplay is actually like, and I kind of wish the trailer made it a bit more obvious, but we don't know. The trailer is mega beautiful and mega hype, but I'm just concerned it's going to end up being this mobile game with some janky PC version that's not going to be. It's not. I don't know if it's going to be the MMORPG that we kind of envision what an MMORPG is. It might just be this mobile game with some PC component to it.
It will have an open world. It will have rating. It will have a party system.
Wait, if it has open world rating and a party system, okay, I'm more confident now that it's going to be something more legit.
But here's the thing: I'm not sure what that means. Like here, I'll show you a screenshot. So you can see raid bosses or mobs right on the open world. But the thing is it going to launch a screen where you fight the mob? Like I don't know if the fighting is going to be an open world, right? Because it does have a interesting feature. It's called observer mode, so you can actually watch other parties fight raid bosses. So to me that sounds like it's going to be the battle takes place like in an instance, turn-based or whatever it is. Whereas in the open world, you kind of just collide with them to start the event. But
if it's persistent, I'm optimistic. All right, if it has the persistent open world, you can walk around. Even if you collide with things, you fight them that way. I think Atlantica did that as well. People kind of forget that Atlantica was a thing, but if it could do it at least like that, I'll still be impressed. Because all I know about this game was what I read on the bullet points, and from there it didn't seem too interesting. But after hearing you explain that there is a persistent world, I am definitely more optimistic about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it looks fun. And whether we like it or not, I think games like this eventually, as phones get more powerful, as more people use phones all day, the next if we want big MMORPGs with lots of players, it's gonna be some kind of crossover like this, where it supports mobile and PC. I think this is best we can hope for. It's better than just being mobile only, right? Where there's no chance of deeper gameplay. So
do you think that's like the holy grail though of the next the next holy grail of gaming, maybe a mix between PC and mobile, some kind of hybrid?
Yes, I do. I think a lot of what makes MMORPGs great is just you always mentioned the little things, the emotes, the collectors, the housing, the player carts or whatever, right? All that stuff. So all that stuff can be done and managed and explored on a phone. Whereas the hardcore stuff, like the combat, guild raids, guild wars, that can be done on the PC. So there's no reason not to, have a world that supports kind of both gameplay styles.
Yeah, and some people in the chat are saying mobile with the death of us, mobile cash scams. I don't. That's an over. I think we do need to start embracing it a little bit. I mean, you can't if you just instantly write off all mobile gaming as this trash cash grab games. I feel like you're going to be kind of left behind, and you'll feel like the old man when everyone's playing a lot of these mobile games. Yeah, I am as skeptical as they come for a lot of mobile games. I think a lot of mobile MMOs, a lot of mobile RPGs are kind of crap, just my personal taste. But I can still find games I enjoy. Namely, off the top of my head, Clash Royale is a pay-to-win game. Still enjoyed that. I'm enjoying the King of Glory, that Chinese MOBA. I think you can still have good games on mobile, fun games, even if they have some cash grabby elements to them. And I'm hoping Caravan Stories does well when it launches here, if it ever launches here. This is right now only a Japanese release. Nothing was mentioned about a Western release just yet.
Yep.
But we will discover again what a mobile PC hybrid looks like when it comes to Lineage Eternal, which unfortunately I think we mentioned last time too. It got pushed back because they fired the lead guy involved with that. We talked about that in a previous episode. But Albion Online and Lineage Eternal are the near-term examples of PC / hybrid mobile games. I think Albion Online will probably be the most recent launch. The non-white beta begins in July.
Someone in chat actually linked some early gameplay footage for Caravan Stories, which by the way is expected to release this year. So this is not going to be like a 5-year never coming out game. And from what the video is showing, it's an open world combat. So I was wrong. It's
awesome.
It's not.
I'm glad that he liked this video because I haven't seen this before.
Yeah, I haven't seen this either. So
it's been in development for a while already. Since this video is from last year, but seeing this gameplay videos, we're seeing some actual combat now. So that's actually pretty cool.
And a lot of people in chat obviously are very anti-mobile gaming. It seems, right? But what everyone has to remember is, look, mobile gaming is really new still, right? The iPhone came out in 2007. And even when iPhone first launched, it didn't have the App Store. So mobile gaming is, less than 10 years old at this point. And it's already changed so much. I remember the original mobile games were like Pong, right? Like those like little click like jump games and stuff.
Cut the ropes and shit.
Cut the rope. Yeah. Fruit Ninja, like, just nonsense mini games. Then we got the cash grab strategy era, right? Where everyone launched like a Clash of Clans, Game of War, all that nonsense. But now we're starting to see some real games, whether it's Hearthstone, which is a real game, it's not a cash grab, right? Clash Royale, not Clash of Clans, Clash Royale is a good game, it's a real game. So we are seeing real games. So I don't think it's fair to write off all mobile gaming. Up to this point, like in the past 8 years, most were garbage. 99% were garbage. But we are seeing a few real high-end, high development budget, high production value mobile games. And I think that'll continue as the hardware gets stronger.
And in the video in the background, I wanted to point out, in combat, there's that wonderful button in the bottom left corner that says auto.
Oh, you saw that?
It's the bane of so many players. I mean, I know I did a lot of first look videos for some of these mobile games, and when people see that auto button, it gets them furious. It's like this game that plays itself. I know we talked about in I think a previous podcast that when for example, when you find a game with auto movement, it's like it turns you off from the game too, because it makes you think like the developers don't care, right? If they have auto in the combat too, it can kind of it feels very cheesy sometimes. A lot of mobile games are doing it. Hopefully, it doesn't ruin this game. I'm really hoping it's done, where player input adds like strategy. And the auto gameplay is just for like the bare bones grindiness of like if you're grinding really low level monsters, you can do autoplay. But like, hopefully, it doesn't feel super cheesy.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, even though I'm defending mobile gaming here, I really haven't played any of these mobile MMORPGs. My brother actually has much more experience in that, whether it's Ragnarok or Lineage or Revolution.
Yo, listen, the Ragnarok mobile game is fun. It's beautiful. I just kind of wish it didn't have the cheesy autoplay. Look. If it didn't have the autoplay, I feel like it'd be an amazing game. And I would like, there's something about the mobile autoplay that makes it seem like it's so low effort. Like when I first logged into that game, I was killing things manually before I hit the autoplay button. I was like, this game is freaking amazing. This is like a real MMORPG on mobile with these, the writing world I've grown up with and loved. But then when I find the autoplay button, I'm like, all right, I leave my phone plugged in and it's playing Ragnarok mobile for me, right? And what's stupid is that game requires so much battery that while plugged in, it would still drain battery. Like it couldn't charge fast enough, right? While plugged into the wall. So every 5 hours, every 10 hours, the game would just turn off because it runs out of batteries, even while plugged in. But I realized I'm not actually playing the game. I must have like 50 hours into that game or more, probably, right? More than 50 hours. But there's no actual input by me. Like every few hours, I pick up my tablet, I put all my stat points in, and I put my tablet back down, right? That's not a real MMORPG. That's not me playing the game. That's me playing a glorified version cookie clicker with like a different interface. And I really don't hope all mobile games go that avenue. And it saddens me that they all are basically right now.
My favorite part of that story was the fact that even when it's plugged into the wall, the game drains the battery faster than you can fill up. That's hilarious.
It's unbelievable. Like, it would get so hot too. I mean, it was on my Android tablet, and I would put my window, my brightness down to the least possible, right? And it would still drain. I don't know how. It's truly remarkable.
That's awesome.
No audio either, obviously. But what's crazy is you have this one Japanese company called Azobimo. God bless Azobimo, right? They were pretty early on in the mobile MMORPG arena. Maybe we can show you a quick. Let me find it first. Look, I did. They were pretty early on in the mobile MMORPG world, right? And all their games don't have autoplay. They're all like real MMORPGs. Like they have these persistent worlds. They have these like it's all a real persistent world. No autoplay. It's traditional MMORPG experience. But I mean, they're fairly popular, but it's not like what caught on. The autoplay games are what caught on, and they totally define the genre at the moment. I'm just hoping, with what you said comes true, that this is a kind of a stepping stone to something bigger and better. And if that's the case, there's still hope for a lot of mobile MMORPGs.
Did you happen to link that video? Or?
No, I didn't. I couldn't find it real quick.
All right. Well, yeah. So, let's see. I don't know. I'm hyped for Caravan Stories. I think, honestly, when I first heard Albion Online, which is coming out soon, July, right? It was going to have crossplay. I got really excited for that because I do think it's important to not fragment people. There are a lot of things, even as hardcore people, right, who played, whatever it is we played, Star Wars Galaxies, EverQuest, whatever. So much of what you do in an MMORPG, or Final Fantasy 14, whatever, is so much of it is just sitting in base, sitting in your house, selling, buying, trading, chatting. You can do all that on a phone. So it doesn't have to take away from the other parts to just be able to do some stuff on your phone.
And here's the beauty too. I feel like we as PC hardcore MMORPG players, right? We that, though we look at games like these autoplay MMORPGs on mobile, and we kind of look at them in disgust. I feel like we can't do that, and here's the reason. Mobile, whether we like it or not, is the future of a lot of these games, right? Like, this is where all the development money is going to go. And the best we can hope for is a good cross-platform, a good mix of both, right? Otherwise, we will literally be left with nothing else. Like, we won't get any more new games, no more things will be invested in PC gaming if we don't embrace this. At least we can take part in the growth of MMO gaming if there's a cross-platform mix between the two. If we shun it completely, it's almost like we're going to be left behind. And everything will go towards mobile gaming.
That's dark.
There is still hope that a cross-platform, solution will be a win-win for everyone, right? So I think stuff like, Caravan Stories or Lineage Eternal or Albion Online, that cross-platform solution could be like the saving grace of like, for older MMORPG players, the people that want the more hardcore experience, to at least be able to have that to a degree, if there's that cross-platform, if that makes sense.
A dark future you're describing.
I am describing a dystopian future, right? But it's really, I feel like it's the only way out right now, because I think we talked about it before. I don't see a big company plowing $100 million or $50 million on a big PC MMORPG. It's going to become rarer and rarer. All the money is going towards mobile, and the reason being is games like Lineage 2 Revolution, mobile MMORPG with autoplay, made over $100 million in its first month. King of Glory made $400 million in the first month. These mobile games are making more money in one month than most of the most successful PC games in the world make all year. A massively successful game like World of Warcraft made $800 million in 2015. This mobile MOBA from Tencent made $400 million in 1 month. 2 months of revenue is more than what WoW made in a whole year. With this kind of success, you're not going to see too much more money plowed into PC-only MMORPGs.
I got to play a video to counter what you're saying here. This seems like defeatist talk. I'm going to play the Independence Day speech here.
All right, let's hear it.
We will not go quietly into the night, okay? PC gaming is not going to be that dark, all right? I think certain genres, you might be right, especially the kind of games...
MMORPGs, I think.
Yeah, and here's the thing. A lot of MMORPGs have like the kind of housing stuff, and phone games can do all that. But I do think the hardcore raiding, the PvP, open PvP games are going to stay PC.
The hardcore you're describing, though, like, if the market for hardcore was as big, you're right? The PC audience would be there. But the audience for hardcore PC games, hardcore MMORPGs, right, are games like Darkfall, right? These hardcore experiences, they're niche, they survive off a small player base. I think the vast majority of PC MMORPG players, I mean, compared to mobile, we're all pretty hardcore, right? But like, they're still pretty casual, which is why I think a lot of the mobile autoplay MMORPGs do so well, is because a lot of the PC players are still kind of casual.
I don't know, I just love this video. That's all I'm listening to.
The video is pretty great. This is an excellent speech.
We're gonna survive. PC gamers will survive.
The aliens are the Korean mobile developers. Is that what this is?
Oh, that's a good comparison. Yeah, see, the aliens are mobile gamers. We gotta get through their shit. We gotta hack their phones. We gotta hack Android, all right, and just disable all their phones.
So how did they get on the ship anyway? Did they like snuck inside of it and blew up a nuke or something? I forgot what happened in Independence Day.
No, what was his name? Goldblum, or snuck an Apple laptop into the mothership and plugged a USB.
And he hacked it, right?
No, he uploaded a virus with his like USB port.
Oh yeah, he plugged his USB into the alien ship. Makes sense. It is a universal serial bus. Yeah. Right? It is universal. Exactly. The whole universe. So it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, so that's what we got to do, guys. All right.
Mm.
Yeah, take out the alien mothership, which is the Apple headquarters. They actually built the mothership. The Apple HQ actually opened.
It looks like quite looks like an alien ship of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I'm really hoping Albion Online, which is again the most recent PC/mobile hybrid that launches, does really well. And I'm actually looking forward to playing it on mobile. I've played on PC and I think it's pretty cool, right? But like, I want to see what it feels like on mobile. Because if they can pull off that mobile experience half decently, I'm sure some people have played it, so if anyone has, let me know. But if they can pull it off well, if those Lineage Eternal videos we've seen of the mobile gameplay is as, at least as what it looks like, that could be amazing. That is, I have hope. There's hope there for me. Ray says, "Holy shit! Independence Day was a prophetic piece about PC master race versus Android and mobile users. Now it all makes sense." There you go. It all makes sense now, boys.
All right.
I mean, let's talk about another. Let's talk about a PC MMORPG and a PC flop. All right, kind of transition over here to something related. Nexon is launching a PC MMORPG. I don't know if it's a big budget MMORPG, but it's a game called Astellia. Look at this little gameplay trailer for it. And Nexon has been failing a little bit lately, because while this game, the closed beta is set to begin next month, I think June 1st. It's obviously, we have no word on a Western release date. If there's ever a Western release date, I will try making a first look video for it if I can, if I get to the beta, and I'll do my best to do that. But it's like some PC MMORPG with card game elements. And Nexon is still not giving up on PC. So that's, everyone likes to shit on Nexon, but at least they're still releasing PC games, right? PC MMORPGs. However, Nexon has proven that they are, oftentimes mega fails, because they flopped quite a bit with Sudden Attack 2. If you want to talk about that a little bit, huh?
Well, first about Astellia. So this game was first announced in 2014. And so it's already been, 3 years since then? And
Long time.
Unfortunately, this game is also using Unreal 3.
Why?
Not even 4, 3. Unreal 4, guys, came out in 2012. I don't know why so many games are still using Unreal
Fringe.
3. Yep. So I don't know. I'm not too hopeful. We'll see. The graphics look okay. The interface looks kind of basic. It could be good. But Omar was mentioning Sudden Attack, right? That's what it's called?
2, yep.
Sudden Attack 2. So Nexon spent $20-something million on this game. And guess what? Within 3 months, they closed it. So they just blew $20 million for a game that survived for 3 months.
What a disaster. $20 million down the tubes. And they just shut it down so quickly. I think this, yeah.
It also uses Unreal 3, by the way, not 4. So there's another issue there.
The only, I guess, Nexon or Korean MMORPG I'm really looking forward to, maybe besides, the same stuff everyone kind of wishes on their platter, like Lost Ark or Lineage Eternal. I'm still, I may be the only one. I'm still kind of hopeful about Paria Chronicles. It still sounds unique, Games like Paria and games like Maple Story 2, I think, are a little bit different. They offer something a little bit different on the platter than the Korean grinders we're used to, with some player-made content, player-made, there's additional emphasis on social elements, non-combat elements. And both Paria and Maple Story 2 have that, which is why I'm optimistic on them. And particularly in Maple Story 2, I want to talk about a little bit about games that I think surprised a lot of people, because Black Desert Online, for example, and Tera, for example. And what do these two games have in common? All right, see if you can guess what I'm going out here.
Which two games?
Black Desert Online,
okay,
Tera, and that's all I got off the top of my head. Those two games.
The action combat, I guess?
No. Well, yeah, but I'm thinking these games are more successful internationally than they are in the home market.
Oh, okay, that's true.
Quite a bit more successful. Tera, I think at one point even shut down in Korea, whereas it's always made a majority of its money from Western markets, right? And Black Desert Online, it's not a very big hit in South Korea at all. Yep. But it is a massive success in the Western market. So I think, and these are the exception, right? Because most of these games, whether it's Maple Story, DFO, so many of these Korean MMORPGs are way more popular in Korea and Asia than they are in America. But Tera and BDO, they just do really well in America. And I think, I strongly believe, and I wish Maple Story 2 launches, I think Maple Story 2 will do much better in America than it will in Korea.
Really?
It is an innovative, amazing, it's a weird mix of Maple Story and Second Life style, player-made content, mini games, Minecraft elements, a lot of stuff that isn't a part of the traditional MMORPG. A lot of, non-combat gameplay, and it's a lot of really fun stuff that I think the game does really well.
I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge you on that. I think here's my gauge. If a game's going to do well in the East or the West, okay? If your dad walks in on you playing a game, are you going to be embarrassed or not? So, if you're going to be embarrassed, it is going to do better in the East than the West, and vice versa.
What? So what a weird-ass benchmark is that?
So if I'm playing Maple Story 1 or 2, right, and then my dad walks in, and he's like, son, are you like 8? What are you doing? Is this Mario? Okay, I'm embarrassed. So that means it's going to do well in Korea and Japan. Now, if he walks in and sees me playing Black Desert, right, or Tera, or whatever, and he's like, oh, wow, you're killing that orc. Good job, son. Here's a raise on your allowance. And then he goes back to work. Okay.
That's pretty funny.
Just keep this in mind next time you encounter a game from Asia, okay? Like whether if it's got big anime titties or like a lolly, okay? Just keep this in mind.
It's actually pretty funny. Luckily, I don't have to worry about that with my dad walking in when I'm playing or watching, because I do sometimes, like when I'm watching anime or I'm playing some game, right? I do sometimes think like, holy crap, like what if somebody walked on me playing this? Like you shouldn't have to explain to them. Hold on, I swear it's not like weird, right? But if you have to say that, it kind of is a little bit weird, but it's a funny thought process I never really thought about. But it's weird. I don't think that's a sole determinant, because like Minecraft is cartoony and whatnot, right? But like plenty of adults play Minecraft. Like a lot of, non-8-year-olds play Minecraft. Still a great game.
It's a rule of thumb. There's always, of course, there's exceptions here and there, but and there's a difference between Minecraft and like one of some of these pervy cartoon games from the Orient, shall I say? Like
the massive big titty character in Critica.
What was that one mobile game? Destiny.
Oh, I'm gonna find it for you.
Okay, yes, Destiny. Did you do a video for it?
I did. It's hilarious.
All right. Let me find it.
I'm gonna link it to you. This is a game that you have to like kind of right from the get-go. I think I did it right at the beginning. It's pretty good.
All right.
We can find some better videos online maybe, but like, just start watching right at the beginning. After like 10 seconds, you can just see like, if your dad sees you playing this, he'll be like, all right, maybe he thinks you're trying to fap or something. I don't know.
Lovely comment in chat. As a dad, I hope I catch my son playing Maple Story so I can disown him. So imagine you're on the bus, guys, or the subway, and you're playing this game, Destiny's Child, with this moaning, big titty lady. So
let me find the. Yeah.
This game must be.
I got one for you. Look at this video from This Is Game. This is their official video for it. This is their trailer. Look right at the beginning.
Okay.
The first like 2 seconds, this giant titty girl just bouncing up and down.
So this game must be killing it in Korea, right?
Yeah.
So
and if you play as much MMOs as we do, having children is a miracle. Like, look at this trailer. There's so many like these big booby characters. It's just hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know. I love Maple Story, but I do think my rule of thumb holds.
Listen, I'm not embarrassed about playing Maple Story. I try to rope people into playing Maple Story with that like have never played the game. Like, and I think it's fun. So I think most people that end up playing it will enjoy it. But but Destiny Child, guys, interesting artwork in the game for sure.
All right.
Get you a girl that's okay with this, then you're good. Yes, then she's a keeper. We can play Destiny Child together.
Well, speaking about games, doing better here than there, Tera, like we mentioned last week, is celebrating their 5th anniversary, and they released this infographic to kind of highlight their accomplishments. 6.6 million accounts created in 5 years, and this is only for their, I believe, North American version, so not the Asian version and not the European version, which is handled by I think GameForge or something.
Yeah.
So 6.6 million characters. No, 21 million characters on 6.6 million accounts. Most popular class, warrior. This is more your boat right here. Most popular race, Amar. Do you know what it is?
I know it. I've seen this infographic, and I knew before I saw the infographic it would be Ellen's for sure.
Oh man,
no surprise. They're the lolly characters. I know. Yeah. I know you get triggered by them, but that's where they're at.
Look, yeah, I don't think I would ever play an Ellen or a Lalafell or whatever. Mainly because they don't fit the setting. You can't have like a warrior who's an Ellen and like they're equal and like mature sounding and like leading the army or something. It just breaks my immersion. I'm sorry.
Well, speaking of Ellens, I remember when I first when I was making a video for Tera and was hopping on to play again, I was making an Elin character and I randomized my appearance 3 times in a row. Look what I got. Like every time I got the most like a character with many extra chromosomes, as they say. Just show this off. It looks absurd.
This is from randoming?
Yeah, I random 3 times. This is what I got 3 times in a row. I swear to God. I swear at me. It's absurd. Like I didn't make them look ridiculous. This is a random 3 times in a row.
The one on the right, the third one with the pink hair, it kind of looks like this one like actual person I've seen. Besides the hair, the face.
So I said never hit random in a Tera character creator. Like I swear I didn't make these on purpose. I ran 3. I even cherry picked, right? These were 3 times back to back. I was mind blown. I had a few worse ones, but like I didn't start taking screenshots after the second one. For some reason, my auto random on Tera always came out looking,
It's
autistic.
Impressive.
And I don't mean to use autistic in a derogatory term. We'll get sensitive about that. I mean, I think I'm using it correctly in that my character did look autistic over there. Kill them before they lay eggs. Burn them with fire.
They look like they're really, really high too. Yeah.
But actually, looking at the infographic you linked earlier, what I was most surprised by this infographic was the fact that there's only 6.6 million accounts created. I mean, that's not really that much, is it?
No. A lot of times on this podcast, we like to talk about big numbers. Big numbers are fun. Yeah. They get excited, and of course, a lot of these big numbers come from China. With a billion people. So in North America, in America, with a much smaller population, this game is considered a success. Tera is still going; it's successful. So I guess 6 million people is good enough.
I mean, it's lasted a long time. It still does pretty well on Steam. I think it's still a pretty fun game, and they show they've done a pretty good job with the cash app as well, which is why I was optimistic about Critica's launch. I mean, Inmass, again, it's still kind of weird that Inmass is publishing this 5-year-old action MMORPG just now in America. But with the way they've managed the Tera cash app, I'm optimistic they're not going to do anything stupid with Critica. So that's positive. Though I have not played the NA Critica version yet. I do plan on checking it out, only because it's still kind of a big game. I just don't like committing time in a closed beta just to get wiped. But we'll see how that does.
I love in this infographic, they did a little shout out to the richest person in Tera. So there's a player named Kamizuma who has 80 million gold.
Wow.
They kind of cheesed it by saying that's worth $100 billion. But how they got that number is 80 million gold coins, like an ounce of gold each, right? But
oh, come on, that's bullshit.
Even if you go by the price of gold, like on gold shop sites, cash shops places, it equals about, I think, from what I read, like $20,000 to $30,000. So that's
wow.
The guy is sitting on 20 grand at least in MMORPG gold. I feel like that's a risky proposition. That stuff probably inflates away pretty quickly. So
okay, I'm trying to do the math right now. I'm looking right now. It looks like 100K costs about $40.
Okay, so it's 80
that means
million.
$1 million costs about $400, right?
Yeah.
So $400 times 80, that's 32,000, right?
32,000. Woo!
Or can I? Yeah.
Kamizuma, sell that some of that gold, man. Buy yourself like a car or a computer. I don't know.
I feel pretty rich when I play Final Fantasy 14. I log into my character. I look at my gold balance. I got 300 million gil. That's worth like $400 or $500 pretty easily on player auction. So that feels good, man.
People still complain.
Speaking of games that are Unreal Engine, that game is also on Unreal Engine and not optimized.
I was gonna say that. Yep. Tera, since its launch, I've heard complaints about its optimization issues, and once again, I think the problem lies with the engine choice here, Unreal. Can't get away from. Actually, here's a good transition, guys. I got some engine-related news. That's not every day you get engine-related news. Unity, everybody's favorite mobile game engine, but not just mobile, PC as well.
Hearthstone uses it.
Well, yeah, Hearthstone uses it, and I believe Crowfall, which is coming out this year, uses Unity. Unity has raised $400 million. With a valuation of $2.6 billion. And
wow.
In the world of tech valuations, I think this is super cheap. If there was a way I could buy into this, at a small scale, like, give them 10 grand or something, I would do it. This company, I think Unity is worth way more than 2.6 billion. If like Snapchat is what, like 20, 40 billion, whatever it is.
It's like $20 billion. It's nuts.
Yeah. So, I mean, the games that use Unity, guys, Pokemon Go, Hearthstone, like Omar said, Tencent's mobile MOBA that we talked about last week, King of Glory, which alone made $400 million in 1 month, uses Unity. So if I was Tencent, why wouldn't I buy the software that my game is made on that's making $400 million a month? It just seems like a crazy good deal, Unity here.
And just like a little like tidbit for you guys, if you guys don't follow, these engines typically they offer the engine for free to the big game companies, and they get a royalty off the game, right? So I think Unreal Engine 4, for example, they get about 5% royalties after like a certain threshold. So after like $3,000 in sales a month, you have to give Unreal Engine 5% of your sales, which is a good chunk of change if you're making a lot of money. So when a game like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds sells like $30-40 million worth of copies in 1 month, Unreal Engine's making a cool like 1.5 million off that just for powering the game through the engine. So Unity is probably making a killing off of what they're doing with Hearthstone, what they're doing with King of Glory, which made $400 million in 1 month. They got to throw something to Unity.
The licensing, the revenue share percent is an option, but there's also a flat fee rate usually. So I don't know if Tencent's giving away the farm here.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. But I mean,
a couple funny quotes actually Bloomberg covered this story. A couple interesting points about Unity here. They say that 70% of all VR content is made on Unity right now, which is pretty impressive. I mean, VR is kind of very early days, and Unity is a lot easier to work with. VR is kind of big on mobile phones these days rather than standalone. So, but 70% market share of VR is pretty impressive. Another good, interesting quote is, they didn't even need that 400 million. They're making so much money. The only reason they raised that 400 million from venture capital people is so that longtime employees could cash out. And they even the CEO even said a big chunk of it is secondary, and that's because it makes sense to let employees buy cars. So they wanted to let employees cash out and buy themselves some nice Ferraris.
Surprisingly, I'm actually looking at Unity. I don't think they do a royalty. Actually, Unreal Engine 4 user royalty. I think Unity just charges a monthly fee to the developers, which is pretty crazy because Unreal Engine can make bank off their royalty fee, which is nuts for Unity not to do that. Which I guess maybe one of the reasons why a lot of people are using Unity, so they don't have to pay that hefty fee.
Yeah. Also, isn't Shroud of the Avatar made on Unity? I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crowfall, Shroud of the Avatar. I'm sure there are other. What is Albion? Let me check Albion here.
I'm curious now too.
So we are seeing Unity. Okay, so we are seeing a lot of big name
Pantheon, Arcade. Also on
Arcade?
Arcade's CryEngine, my bad. Pantheon is on
I didn't know that.
Was on Unity.
Really? I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. So yeah,
Pretty
Unity.
cool.
Unity is going places, boys.
I would invest. Take my money, Unity. Call me up. I'll give you guys 10K. Let me get in at the same rate, all right? But obviously, they won't take our 10K is nothing to those guys. They got moolah. Oh, they don't want our 10K.
Shards Online is also Unity, guys. E Ballard. It is not Legends of Aria on this stream. We will forever call it Shards Online. All right, Legends of Aria is a lame name IMO.
I agree. Shards Online was way cooler. Way cooler. All right. Let's talk one last maybe bit about almost like I told you so, because I feel like it's worth mentioning. We did a video for Mirage Arcane Warfare a while ago, and I think you were the most harsh on this game, Altai. And I feel like this is a moment for you to gloat because the game is doing quite poorly. Right from the get-go, you said it kind of sucked, and I guess you were proven right with the launch that nobody's playing this game.
Let me bring up the team. I've said it before. I'm always right, and once again, that's proven to be correct. This game launched very recently, and it's got one person playing. That one.
No, 42
players. Okay,
I'll give you the link right now.
Give me that link.
Maybe you clicked on beta or something.
I did click on the beta. You were right. Okay, so here we go. 42 players online. All-time peak 190. So that's pretty sad. It just didn't feel fun, compared to Chivalry. So speaking of
every day the peak is going down. Yeah,
I'm not surprised. Just play Chivalry. It's still a better game. It's still fun.
Chivalry is a great game, so definitely play Chivalry.
Speaking of me being right, though, I'm going to gloat a little more before we end this. We made a few bets recently. One was about the popularity of BDO. You said about 10 grand concurrent. I said 15. Since it went over 15, I'm going to take credit there.
All right. I'll give you that one. However, Mr. You're always right. We did make another bet, too. If you remember, we made a bet that we all guessed when WildStar was shut down. Do you know when you said WildStar was shut down? Do you know what you said?
I said 4 months ago?
Yeah, April of 2017. All right. You told me that WildStar would be dead by April of 2017, and it is still alive and well with a potential new game being made by Caravan Studios, too. It's not going to be WildStar 2, though. I said September 2017. So I still have a little bit of room. I'm probably going to be off too. I think the game's going to survive for a bit longer.
I think you're gonna be wrong too. So in that, it does sound like either of us gonna win that one. But more to the point, I overestimated NCSoft's generosity. For such a cruel company that has no problem killing games left and right. Whether it's Tabula Rasa, City of Heroes. I thought they'd be a little harsher here with Wellstar. I thought they'd take it out back and shoot it, but they haven't done it yet.
Not yet.
Another bet that is still up in the air. Back to Ashes of Creation real quick. Last week I actually conceded to you, but I kind of pulled I think I did that too quickly. You said the game would have raised 2.2. I said 3 million or more, and I kind of conceded last week because it was so close to 2.2, and it only had a week left and it had no chance, right? But today I checked it again, and it's got 60 hours to go, so it's almost over. But it's at 2.7, so it's very close to 3. I'm not going to concede. Yeah. I'm going to revoke my concession. All right.
I feel like you can't do that. You've already conceded. There's no takebacks.
Oh man. Well,
it reminds you there was actually this big European sports book paid out all the bets on Hillary Clinton to win the election in America. It's like a week for the election, they just paid out everyone that bet on Hillary. So they paid out millions of dollars, and then when Trump won, they had to pay all the Trump winners too, which is pretty hilarious because they thought they were being cheeky by paying out the Hillary bets, assuming she was just going to win anyway. So, moral of the story: no takebacks. You conceded.
Well, luckily we got nothing on the line. But we'll see. We'll see where Ashes of Creation lands. Now once again I do think it's going to pass 3 million or around 3 million exactly. 60 hours left. We'll see where it goes.
All right.
Yeah, and that's a good place to leave it, guys.
Indeed. Good podcast as always. If you guys have seen this on YouTube, check us out live on twitch.tv/MMOs.com every Tuesday at 4 p.m. PST for the live experience. It's always better live.
Indeed. And for now, we're going to move into the after show. So goodbye, YouTube.
Later, YouTube.